I'm in beautiful Chicago, Illinois with Daniel Lakemacher. Daniel, thanks for being with Motorhome Diaries.
Well, thanks very much for having me, guys.
Right on. So I heard about Daniel. We received an email from a mutual friend, and he said, hey, you guys may be interested in talking to this guy. He's pretty cool. He runs a website called Immoral.com. You know, I got to ask Daniel, with a website like that, why did you enlist in the military?
Well, I definitely wasn't of the opinion that war was immoral when I joined up. That's for sure. At the time, I actually worked down here in Chicago for a major insurance company. I was living the cubicle life, and I really felt like I wanted some more adventure. I wanted to do something to serve my country, the whole idea of patriotic duty. I felt like, as an American, you know, I personally had been, in a sense, attacked with what happened on 9/11/2001. And I felt justified in going wherever it was that the military might send me. I was deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and I worked for 6 months in the detention camps, as they're called there. I saw just, you know, the most atrocious things, I hope, that I never have to see again in my life, and it was very much the most hate-filled place that I could ever imagine. And I actually heard that from people, Army people, Navy people, who had actually been deployed in like Iraq and Afghanistan, and they said this is just a hellhole. This is the worst place. And part of the reason they explain that is they're like, you know, some of these Army guys I would talk to, they're like, in Iraq and Afghanistan, at least you can shoot these guys. And he's like, here, you're face to face with them, and he's like, and you're not even supposed to do anything to try and hurt them. And it was out of that I really had to take a focused look at what I was doing, at my own moral beliefs, what they were based in. And at that same time while I was down there, I first read the book Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It's kind of ironic, but I got it through the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation organization that kind of supports the troops while they're deployed, and from that encountered really the most concise moral statement that I know of, which is the non-aggression axiom, that to initiate force against another is the ultimate moral failure.
So what message do you have if folks are watching now and they're over in Iraq or they're at home thinking about enlisting? What message do you have for them?
Definitely just think for yourself about what you're doing. One of my favorite quotes is from Albert Einstein, and it's, "Unthinking respect for authority is the greatest enemy of truth." And that's what the military does through boot camp. What they're trying to do is instill into you absolute obedience to authority. And so my best encouragement is to think for yourself. Because when you think for yourself, which is what I ultimately came to do, and you realize, well, if I think it's wrong to kill, and pretty much everybody does, why would it change depending upon what clothing I'm wearing?
Right. Or if somebody orders you to do so.
Exactly. Yeah. Why would it change if somebody ordered me to?
So you're not only, what I think, speaking very morally and principled and rationally, but you're going through the process yourself of applying for a conscientious objector status.
Absolutely.
In the Navy. Can you touch on that?
For sure. I'm currently a second-class petty officer in the United States Navy. That's what they call me anyway. I work at the Navy's only boot camp base. It's located in Great Lakes, Illinois, about 20 miles north of where we're at now. And so what I'm doing is trying to separate myself from an institution that I believe exists solely for an immoral purpose, and that is of waging war. I think my message in that regard could be most concisely summed up on the t-shirt here, and that is, you know, people always talk about the military in particular, oh, it's an all-volunteer military. Well, if it's an all-volunteer military, then why can't I leave? And it doesn't matter what you sign, what you say to somebody. To force somebody to work without letting them go under threat of imprisonment, which is what I face if I were to just leave, that's slavery. And that's immoral as well. I've heard from other people, you know, I thought about that whole conscientious objection thing, but the military certainly doesn't advertise it. That's part of why I created the site, is I didn't see anything else out there that just documented one person's journey through the process. And so mine does. I have links on there to the military instructions from every branch. You can download those. You can see my personal story through going through a chaplain interview, a psychological assessment, going through an informal hearing with a military officer, and everything that entails this process. And right now I'm just in the last step where I'm waiting for that answer as to whether or not I'll be allowed to quit my job without facing imprisonment.
Well, Daniel, I got to say, I have a lot of respect for you. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have similar thoughts, but you're actually taking a stand and, you know, putting yourself out there and inspiring others. So thanks so much for what you're doing.
Oh, you bet.
Best of luck.
Is it obedience that makes something right, or is it the actual action that should be judged?